Hey, you guys. How's it going? Hope you're all doing well, as per usual. All right, so I'm working on a secret project, and it's secret. Also working on the monthly minis. So, and thank you for all of my subscribers to the monthly mini journals. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, so that's going to be super cool. I'm excited about it. Um, All right. So what I'm trying to do today is I have kind of a method of making, I don't want to call it ephemera, but I guess a lot of people would call it ephemera for a journal, and a way that, you can make a lot of different stuff to add into your journal that would sort of be cohesive, like sort of like a set of envelopes and tags and all that kind of stuff, and a really easy way to do it with not a lot of supplies, and repurposing a lot of stuff. So let me just show you what my inspiration was. So this book, oh my God, I love this book. Rachel at Roxy Creations, she used this book one day on a collage video. Go figure. And she pulled a couple pages out of this, and I just was like, oh my God, I love that book. So of course I had to look it up on Amazon. It's called Florilegium, the Book of Plants, and it's got that big sunflower on it, so you'd recognize it if you see it. I got it on Amazon. It was about $25. Okay, so just saying. You might be able to find it cheaper. I think I did actually find it cheaper on eBay, so check it out. I just was like in a frenzy, so I just bought it. But yeah, so it's really cool. There's lots of different, they're all like vintage botanicals. Okay, really, really beautiful style. So one thing I will say about this also is that many of these images are public domain images, but you cannot copy this book. You can find some of these images on different websites where they will be public domain, but you cannot copy this book because this book is copyrighted. So I hope that makes sense. So if you buy this book and you're tempted to copy the pages, don't do it. Search for them online where there would be no copyright issue. Okay, so just that. And then so that book inspired me, and I thought, because I found so many images in there that I wanted to use, and so I pulled out some pages, a lot of pages, and I've already done some fussy cutting and stuff, but I thought I would talk to you a little bit about how I approach using stuff like this sometimes. Well, first off, some of the pages, well, all of the pages have a front and back. Like there's an image on the front and the back. So then it's a matter of what side do you want to use. And I just wanted to kind of quickly talk about how I determine how I'm going to use some of these things. And this is just me. Like this is just for my own considerations and what I do, and but I thought it might be helpful. So anyway, some of the pages where you've got smaller images where the images don't overlap, that's nice because you can harvest smaller images to use on smaller things, and well, it's also a matter of which side you like better, right? And which side do you think you could get the most use out of? So this particular, I'll just give you my thoughts on this particular page. Okay, well, first of all, you could use it just like this in a journal if you wanted to, without tearing it apart. Like that could just be, a couple pages in a journal, and really nice just the way it is. And I'm definitely going to use some pages like that in this secret project. But a lot of them I'm not going to use that way. Anyway, so I'm not extremely fond of this image for some reason. I don't really know why. This one I like better, but it's kind of big, you know. So I think I'd like to use this page, but I don't want to just glue that image on something and call it good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it more useful, and I'm just going to cut it in half. And that way I have two pieces that I can use for different things. And so I can fussy cut around the outside of that, right? Leaving that straight edge on one side. And I can just, I guess they call this kiss cutting, where you're not actually cutting all the way up to the edge of the image. You're so I need to decide if I want to keep that, and I think I'm actually going to just sacrifice it. Anyway, so you're not cutting right up to the edge of the image. You're sort of just cutting around the outside edges. And, you know, some of the words are still going to be there, but that's okay. Okay, so now I have this really cool flower that I can use on the edge of a tag or a paper bag or something like that, right? And then I'll do the same thing on this side, except I think I am going to try, I'm going to leave that this might be a long video. I'm going to try to keep that other image in here. So I'm going to keep it attached because I like it. And so this one, I would say I'd like to use this on something a little bigger, like maybe on a bag, like a paper bag or something like that, or even just glue it onto a page by itself. See, and I'm leaving a pretty big border around everything, but it's basically fussy cut, you know. I do have this little thing. I don't think I'm going to worry about saving it though. Okay, so there I've gotten two elements that I can add onto stuff. And then this page, I really like this side, but I really love these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it up to the light, and I'm going to see if I cut this right about there, I can still get two of these images, okay? Because I really like this, and I think this is really cool. And these don't really overlap, so I might be able to actually fussy cut around half of this and this whole one, and I would sacrifice that one. So that's what I think I'm going to do, but I'm actually going to cut from this side to be sure that I don't, and I want to keep the words. So there. So now I've got these two. Actually, I don't want to keep the words. I've got these two images that I can fussy cut and use as smaller elements on something. And then I've got these two. And I think this I could actually cut pretty much the same way as I did that one, and just cut around the outside border. So I would just sit here and make these decisions for all of the pages that I want to use, you know, and just find images that I like and figure out how I can get the most out of them. And I think I'm going to cut the words off of this one. The script in this book is really, really pretty. So then I think I'm also going to just kind of come in. Whoops. I'm not doing the best job of doing this, but usually I try to make my cuts a little bit more organic than that. Okay, so then I think that would be really nice on a larger piece also. And then these little guys, I can just, I'll cut these up a little bit closer. And fussy cutting like this, where you're not actually cutting right up to the edge of the image, I don't know, I think it looks nice. And it's a good way to use these kind of things, you know, so you don't have to be intimidated by all of the details in the image, you know, and like, how am I going to cut that out, right? So just kind of around the border. Anyway, so I'm not going to do this with this whole stack of pictures, or pages, but I just kind of wanted to show you how I approach it. Okay, and you can still see some of the words up there, but it doesn't matter. Like, it, you know, it's obviously it's cut out of a book, right? But also some of the stuff is a nice, like, all over pattern. Okay, so I would consider this, I would treat this as a piece of pattern paper rather than as images to fussy cut. This is paper that has a beautiful pattern on it, has really nice colors and that kind of stuff. So that's how I would use this, is just, you know, as patterned paper. And the same with this. You know, I don't particularly like this image. You know, so this page will go into my pattern paper pile. So this one, oh, this one's hard because I love all of these. I like all of them. This side, they don't overlap really. So these would be a lot easier to cut out and also keep the words. I really love these images though. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use these. I'm going to sacrifice these, even though I really don't want to. Because I love that I could get all of the words from around each one of these. Okay, so that would go in my totally fussy cut pile and cut out all of those little images. This one, I would do the same thing as I did on here. I would cut this right up the center and then just fussy, because I don't particularly like that back image, although it's beautiful. Like, I do love elephant ears, but I like this better, you know. So I'm just going to cut like right up the center of this image and then fussy cut it out just like I did that one. So I cut it in half so I know that that's what I'm going to be doing. This one, I actually kind of like that. So I'm going to use this as two images also. It makes sense, right? Because it's two images. So, and when I fussy cut this one, I'm going to go in a lot more in detail around this image, because this is easier to cut out around it, you know, because it's so, they're such solid shapes. So that's how I would approach that. This one, I'm going to also cut in half. And then I can use one yellow one and one orange one, right? Because it had orange on the back and then a yellow on the front. So I can have one of each just by cutting that paper in half. So yeah, so that's what I do initially. Like when I start harvesting pages out of books like this, especially where there's images on both sides, just to give myself, just to feel like I'm getting the most out of it that I can, you know, and I just make those decisions about each page as I go, you know. So this whole thing, I really love these. And I think if I cut that in half, that would be really nice. But I think this might be better to use as a pattern paper, you know. And I could also do that with the back of it. So that one's going to go over in that pile to get torn up. And this one, I think I am going to fussy cut, just, you know, fussy cut out all of these images. So I'll just kind of cut them out. Rough cut, you know, put them in my pile. Okay, so now I know that's how I'm going to cut those out. And I'm just going to keep going through this and making those decisions for every page. Okay. So anyway, I just wanted to talk to you about that really quick and kind of let you know what I would do. So I'm going to keep these over here. And then, so these are already done. So these are going to go in my basket. These are all pages from the same book. Okay. Except for there's some other stuff in the bottom of this basket that isn't from that book. It's from something else. So I'm going to take them out for now. Okay. So these I can set aside. And these are going to get cut out later. Okay, so we'll be working out of this basket. And then I have some stuff that I want to use in this secret project. Okay, so I'll just tell you what I plan to work on, and then how I'm going to approach it. So this is actually just the end of an envelope. It's like the offcut of an envelope where I cut the envelope using it in a journal and it was a little too wide, so I cut off this about an inch of the end, and I kept them because I thought they looked really useful, you know. So this could be a great little like tuck spot to glue onto a page or something like that, you know. I mean, there's lots of different things that I could do with those. So I saved them. Don't throw away your offcuts. They're super useful. And then some postcards where I didn't necessarily like the front image, but I like the backs. And these ones that have some writing on them, I can just, you know, add a piece of grid paper or something on the back or do some other collaging on the back of them. But they're useful, and so I like to keep those too. And then this page, these are from a book where it reads like this, where you flip the pages up, okay? And so then the image is down here, so it would be like this, right, in the book. So the image is at the bottom, and then the information about it is at the top. So it's a nice way to look at a book, except that when you are harvesting the pages, you tear the pages out, then this is how the page would be in the journal, but then all your text is upside down, and that always kind of bugs me. So so I decided that instead of just leaving that, when I use these pages in the secret project, that I'm going to do some collaging on here and make these pages useful already to whoever winds up with that journal, right? So I have a bunch of pages from that book that I want to do the same thing to. Okay. And then just some different envelopes, different sizes and shapes of envelopes that I want to use in this project, and some paper bags. So, you know, just to have. And I want to make them all with kind of like a cohesive sort of feeling, right? Like similar papers and things like that. So I'm going to take this stack of paper, which isn't really that much. It's just a couple pieces of pattern paper, some marbled end paper from a ledger. This is something I printed. This was a free, what do you call it? What do they call it? Texture on the, on that one website that I always forget the name of it. Anyway, I will link it in the description, but I'm talking about the checker. Like that was the texture. And then I printed this grid paper again on there. Okay. So those, and then these are some other marbled papers from ledger books. Again, this is another one of those textures. I printed a grid paper smaller on it, and you can download free grid paper anywhere, like not anywhere, but there's lots of places where you can find free grid paper to download. And then I pulled some book pages. These are pages from the little red French books that I did minis out of. And then this is also a French botanical book. This is like just the descriptions of a bunch of different plants. And I chose these because they were different colors, right? Like this one is a lot darker than this one. And then some children's lined paper, like penmanship paper, some pretty small grid in blue. And then there's this green one. This is called a quadrille pad. So this is a grid paper. It's real fine. And then just a piece of ledger paper, accounting paper, I should say. And then I pulled some pages out of a couple of different ledgers. This one is a French ledger. This is the end of a piano roll. And I just love the, you know, obviously the pattern around the border. And I think that was one that Carla sent me. Thank you, Carla. I'm trying to use those. And then pages from a couple different ledgers. Another one. And then that music book that I just love that I got from Renee at GT Design. She sent me some of this book in Happy Mail. And anyway, so the book is really cool because it's got all these different tones of paper, like in the same book. It's really weird. Like this came from the same book and it looks totally different, you know, and one of them is blank on the back. So I have some blank paper that I can work with that has some really cool like boxing and stuff on it already. So yeah, so I want to use those. So this is all I'm going to use to work on these items. And then of course I have this pattern paper. So not using book paper and not really even using much in the way of digitals. Texture designs that I printed. Okay. So let's see. I want to work on, let's just do a couple of these postcards to start with. So let's do one that has writing on the back and then one that does not. And of course we have these little images that we can work with. Oh, and I also have some labels and tabs and, you know. Okay, so let's start with some handwriting. We'll just tear a piece of this page, okay? Just tear it off. And I'm going to lay these both out side by side and work on them simultaneously. I could do this with, you know, 5 or 6 if I was making that many, you know. Some people like to use a book for gluing, like for applying their glue. I prefer to just use my desk because it's easy to wipe off. And I feel like I don't use a bunch of book paper when I'm doing that. It just comes, I use a lot of baby wipes, so that's the trade-off. And let's get another piece of this. And we'll sort of put it, we'll just put it on the other side so that, so they're not matchy-matchy. You know what I mean? I don't want them to be exactly the same. I just want them to have kind of a cohesive feeling where, you know, I've used similar papers throughout the journal. Okay, it's a journal. It's not a secret. It's a journal though. And then I want to use, I'm just going to tear a piece of this, and I'm going to be using just small pieces of this piano roll. So I don't want to forget about it. So I'm just going to tear it into some small pieces to have so that I keep seeing them, and I'll make sure and use them. And then let's use some of this music paper. I love this music paper. Okay, so this is the one that has the blank back. So I'm going to tear off the music-y part at the top. And that'll work right there. And another. Let's do this down here at the bottom. So you could just tear up those papers, all those papers that in that stack over there. Whoops, I'm doing this on the wrong side. Oh my God. Oh well. Let's pretend like I didn't do that, okay? Pretend I didn't do that. I was supposed to be gluing my paper on this side. Oh my God. Oh well. It's okay. Don't worry. It'll still work. Okay. See, everybody makes mistakes. All right, so I want to use some of this grid paper. And I want to put some of it right along that edge, and I also want some at the bottom here. So I'm going to tear that just a little thin strip. And I think that'll work right there. I bet so many of you guys were just like, you're gluing on the wrong side. Oh well, it's okay. It's okay. There's nothing I can do about it now, right? Okay. So my son Adrian is here. He just got back doing this like training thing in Pensacola with the Air Force. So he's here for the summer now. He'll be working out at Fairchild Air Force Base for the summer, so I'm super happy he's here. He's going to be doing some scanning for me. I have a whole basket full of stuff for him to scan. Cool. I think I'm happy with that. Now I know I have a little spot right here that I missed, but that's okay. Actually, do I want to use a piece of this? I think I'm just going to use a really small piece of this right here. There we go. All right, I was going to use a piece on this one too, but I don't think I need to. Actually, no, I kind of like it up there. Do I like it there or there? I actually think I like it like that better because I like to see that number right there. Okay. feel so silly gluing that on the wrong side. But I do that kind of stuff all the time. All the time. Oh well. Can you tell I'm just kicking myself about it? Oh boy. I need more coffee, I think. I should have waited to trim these until the glue dried, but I didn't feel like waiting. So I will just glue something, some kind of, you know, like some grid paper, and maybe even some of this music paper with the blank, you know, on the back. And I might even leave some of the border of the image on the front. I don't know. Or I could even just cover it with, I could maybe just cover it with one of these and then just put a little image on there or something. Anyways, we'll come back to these, okay? And then I want to do a couple of these little guys. Let's do 3 of them. Let's work on 3 of them. So one of them I'm going to have oriented to where it opens on that side, and then we'll do these 2 open on this side, okay? So let's see. I definitely want to use a little bit of this marbled paper, and I want to use a couple pieces of that and some of this grid, and then let's see, where's that one page that has the smaller writing on it? This one. Okay. Or maybe the book page. This is a lot of paper over here, believe it or not. Where did I put the book pages? This always happens to me whenever I'm doing a video. I can't find anything. There they are. Okay. So I'm gonna use some of this book and a page of this one. Okay. I know that seems like a lot for these little things, but they're just there so I can remember to use them too, these little bits. So I really like this just kind of going vertically right there. I like the little tiny images of the flowers, you know. And a little piece of this one, I'll put it right up there. I just love the color of this paper. It's so pretty. And oh my gosh, Adrian started his motorcycle and took off, and it's like I can smell it in the house now. Okay, and then this one, let's put here. Oops. Okay. And do we want some of the music paper? Maybe just a tiny bit. Just a little bit of the music paper, like right down here on the edge. Okay, but I'm going to use some of this first. I know it looks like I'm just going all different directions, huh? Okay. So that, oops, is going to go there. This is going to go here. Okay. Don't want to cover up those little flowers. Some grid. Put a little bit of grid paper on this one. Up a little bit higher than the others, than this. Yep, and then that one can kind of go off to the side a little bit. Oops. Oops. I do kind of want that to be straight. There. Okay, and then I want a little grid paper on this one too. So I'm going to add this right here. And then this can just go sort of like that along that side. Okay, so those are just about done. And then let's see if this is long. This isn't really long enough. Okay, and then just going to use a teeny little piece of this right here. Okay. So I need those to dry. I want to let these dry a little bit, and we'll come back to them. Okay, and then let's see. Let's do one of these envelopes. So these envelopes are all, most of them are avocado dyed. Some of them are coffee dyed, but so what I want to do is basically the way I want to use these is just, I want it to remain an envelope. Okay, so I am probably going to reseal this. So, and I don't think I'm going to use it in the center of a signature. I think this is just going to get paper clipped into the journal. Okay, so it'll either sit on top of a page or on the side of a page, that kind of thing. So I don't need to necessarily do anything with those side pieces, but I would like to just do some collaging over the whole thing. And I'm going to use a little bit larger pieces on here. And I definitely want some music on there. I like how it says flute right there. I think that's pretty. So I'm going to tear this off and save that, right? Because that paper is so cool. Okay, I want to make sure I keep the word flute. Okay. Okay, let's use a little bit of this. Actually, about just right there. Actually, no, because I don't want it to be that close. I don't want the edge of this paper to be really close to that fold there. Actually, no, it won't matter because I'm going to put other paper over the top of it. Let's put some writing on here too. Some handwriting. About that. No, I don't really like that because the color is so similar between those two papers. So use this grid. And then let's use some of this. I actually don't want that much of it. So hold the phone. There, that'll work. And it's going to go kind of crookedy, but that's okay. I didn't want that much of it. I don't want it to be that whole flap. I just want it to be part of that flap. And I also want it to kind of overlap onto this panel of the envelope. Okay, and then we can use some of this writing maybe. There we go. I think that'll be good. I know, it's kind of silly. I don't like it when there's any of the little pieces poking through, like right there and right there. So I have to add something to cover those up. So like these little pieces are great for that. Just these little bits, you know. Whoops. Okay. So then this needs to dry, and I will also trim that. And then let's do one of these bags. So these are going to be folded in half and used as, you know, pocket pages in the journal. Okay. So what I want to do is, I think I'm gonna, no, I'm not gonna cut that end off yet, but I don't really want to glue paper over the fold of this, just because it makes it, you know, thicker. Like in the signature, it makes this book page just, or this paper bag, take up a lot of space in my, where I stitch it in, you know. I don't know if that makes sense, but it just makes it thicker, and I don't want it thicker. I want it to still be where I stitch through the signature right there. Like, I want that to be, remain the thickness of the paper bag. I don't want to add, because I'm going to glue paper on it, I don't want to make it the thickness of 2 or 3 sheets of paper. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Okay. Let's, all right. Let's find something else here. Okay. So let's use some of this one. We'll just go, oh, that's perfect. We'll just go right up to that fold. Perfect. Okay. And maybe some of this green grid right about there. So what I think I'll do is I'll leave this blank, and I'll leave this blank, but I'll do some collage on this panel. Just to, you know, just to leave some of it for, you know, whoever. Oh, so I need to trim. No, I was going to do this side. That's right. Never mind. Never mind. Okay, so I want this to have a straight edge. So I'm going to put that right up to my fold. Wow, 48 minutes. Nobody cares. Who cares? All right, so that, hear my dogs, or my mom screaming at the dogs. Okay, and then a piece of this. Actually, hang on. I want to use some of this pink one. Yeah. Let's use some of this pink. It's kind of like pinky, orangey, salmon color. And then I want to use some of this too. Okay, we'll just do that kind of across there. Okay, cool. So that needs to dry. All right, so the envelope's drying, the paper bag's drying. These are almost ready. What do I do with those postcards? Here they are. So on the fronts of these postcards, I'm just going to add some like blank, not necessarily blank, but paper that you can write on, you know, that has some kind of lines or is blank or something. And these are going to be stitched around the edges. So that's cool. Because sometimes on like shiny paper, it's hard for the glue to really grab, you know. But it helps a lot if you just do a row of stitching around the border. Let's do some of this green grid. I love this green grid paper. I'm going to grab that blue one too. Let's just do a strip of that right along the edge. Need another glue stick. Okay, one needs something else on there. Oh, some of this music paper can just go right there at the top. And a little bit of it down here at the bottom of this one. There. Okay, so these I'm just going to trim it out, and I'm going to add some kind of, you know, flowery picture or something on there. Let me let these dry. We'll finish them. I'm going to try not to rush though. You know, no sense in rushing, right? See, it comes off pretty fast, pretty easy on my desk. Okay, so I'm going to trim these out so I can see the edges pretty well before I'm just going to add some flowers on these. From that book, you know? Okay, so there's that one. So basically, the idea is that, you know, I'm not using a ton of different papers. I'm just using kind of like a palette of paper, you know, and I'm going to try to just use my scraps from this pile of paper that I pulled out, you know. I'm going to try not to create a bunch more scraps. I'm going to try to use my scraps from these full pages as I go, you know. And also at the same time, you know, I'm giving all of these items kind of like a cohesive look, you know. So I think this is, I don't remember. I think this is the one that went that direction. And then these were over here. Yeah. Okay. So then I just want to add some kind of little, I have some thinner stuff in here. See, like even like that little guy. Maybe that little guy. Let me find a tall, skinny one. Oh, there's that one. Or this one. That one's pretty. Yeah, I think I can make these work. Okay, I don't think I'm going to use that one. But I like this one. And I like that this is kind of echoed in the flower right here. Like there's two different flowers on here. So I could put like a little label on there or something like that too, you know. I don't know. This one I think I'm going to put up towards the top. Because again, there's some little flowers down here that I don't really want to cover up. Maybe more towards the center. Trim off the edge. And then this guy is going to pretty much cover the whole length. There we go. Yeah. So, yeah, so those are cool. And then these can just get glued onto the edge of a page, you know, and it's kind of like, you know, or you know what, I could cut just along the outside of that and make these into like belly bands, you know, or whatever. So they're super useful. Okay, and then let's look at this envelope. So I'm going to trim off around the edges. Trying not to cut through the fold. Okay, it's not really a secret project. I've already talked about it a million times, but I decided I'm not going to do those covers that I was working with. Those like, I don't know if I showed them to you guys or not, but I'm going to do some Reader's Digests. And I'm just going to use those covers because I love Reader's Digest. And I'm going to use those covers for my botanical journals. Okay, so I'm just refolding the envelope. The way it's supposed to go. Okay, and then I think I'm just going to do like a label on here on this side, and then on this side on the back of the envelope I can do some kind of image like that. That's a little too big, I think. Or like that. So using images out of the same book is also going to give a level of, you know, cohesion. Right? There's a bunch of images in here. I was doing a lot of this last night. I really like that, kind of like that. What is that? A hollyhock? I think that's a hollyhock. I kind of like it. It's gray. It's like gray, like really light lavender color. But, oh, it's covering up the word flute. Okay, I'm going to put it just below the word flute. Because I like that. Okay. So I'm coming in just a little bit from the edge. It's just like 1/8 of an inch from the edge of this envelope. Okay. Then let's find some kind of label we can use, and maybe even a tab. So just actually like this one. This will work. This is a label I stamped just onto some blank ledger paper. So just adding that little label on there really, I think, makes a big difference. And then let's do one little, or let's do a small one on the back too. How about like a long skinny one? We'll just put it here. Put it down here, going vertically. There. And I could put a tab on the flap of the envelope. I don't know. Have to make that decision later. And then I think I'm going to glue this shut again. And, you know, just keep this as an actual envelope. And I'll just tuck like some little papers or something into it and call that good. And then so the paper bag. So this has kind of like a has this sort of like scalloped edge, and I'm kind of just cutting that off actually. Okay, this I'm going to actually cut off the end of the bag. Okay. Let me trim these really quick too, because I do want to add postcards. I do want to add some kind of embellishment on these too. Hard to cut when the glue's still wet, right? Oh my gosh, me and Sammy made... That was such terrible English. Oh my God. Sammy and I made tamales yesterday. We made a ton too. Like, I don't know, probably 100 and something of them. About 120, maybe a gross of tamales. Anyway, so let's see. So that's the side for writing on. And then this side, I want to add some flowers. I'm going to add a flower. And I want to add some on this too. Something. A little something. Do I like that? There or there? I kind of like that on that one. Let's see. I don't know what that is. I don't know why that one is cut like that. That's weird. Okay. Actually, I think I like that one on there. About this foxglove. Nah. Nah. Okay, wait. Is that going to work? Yeah, I think that one. So this is one of the ones I cut out right in the beginning, I think, right? And then I need another one on that, I think. So let's put this one on. I just want to get them kind of all done and, you know, set them out here together on my desk so you guys can see them all together. So you know what I'm talking about, you know? Sort of like making a set of add-in stuff for a journal. So if for some reason you happen to buy a kit from Jessica or somebody else, you can take that kit and turn it into a lot of stuff, you know. It's very useful, you know, just a little bit of variety and some repetition and maybe a book, and I think you can make some really cool stuff. So and a kit. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Okay, I like that. I need something on this one. I'm just doing flowers, you know. I mean, it doesn't have to be flowers. I just happen to be doing some like botanical. Okay, I like that little flower on there. These are just botanical crazy journals. They're just going to be all about flowers and plants and trees and maybe some bugs. I don't know. Mushrooms too. All right. So let that dry for just a second. These are pretty much done. I think I want to do maybe a little label on one of these though. I cut out a ton of labels the other day. Okay, I like this number. That. Yeah, let's do a smaller one. Smaller one with some numbers on it. Down there. Let's trim this. Did I forget anything? Don't think I did. Any of the pieces that we were making. All right, let me do a label on this too. Why not, right? No, no, no. I kind of like it down there in the grid. Let's put it sort of in between the grid and the asparagus right there. Okay, and let's do kind of a larger. Yeah. A little bit larger label on this one. Okay. So there, I think that's it. I am going to add some tabs on these, I think, though. And maybe do and I am going to stitch around the borders. And I might add a tab on the flap of that envelope too, like I was saying. I don't know why this always happens. Okay, so just add a tab there. I like to add the tabs before I do the stitching because I like the stitching to go over the tab. But I'm not like relying on the tab to or the glue to hold the tab on necessarily 100% because it's going to have some stitching on it too. And then let's put one on this one. I need to punch a bunch more tabs and cut some. I cut them on my scan and cut, and I've had people ask me about the scan and cut because I've mentioned it a few times. And like what I like about it or whatever. And to be honest, I never use it for anything other than cutting out like repetitive shapes, like tabs and stuff, tabs and labels or whatever. So I just like that I can cut what I want to cut with it, you know. So anyway, here's the set. So I mean, I could have just done a whole bunch of stuff with just that little palette of papers, you know. And I mean, you could totally use a piece of scrapbook paper too, and just use it in a lot of different ways, or on a lot of different types of items. And then, you know, like this would be a great amount of add-in stuff for a journal, like a small journal, you know. You could have a couple of nice little tuck spots, an envelope that you could just paper clip in, some journaling cards. I would probably round the corners on these, and then, like I said, do the stitching around the edges. I might even do just a very thin row of stitching right around the edge of these, and maybe add a little tiny tab right there. I don't know, just to kind of kick them up a notch. The paper bags, I will do a row of stitching right across the top and the bottom, and, you know, probably notch this out on this side. And yeah, so anyway, that's just a little set, and I feel like they all kind of go together, you know. They're like matchy a little bit, and just using images from one book, you know. So that's I think a good way to stretch out those pages that you can't, you know, you're not allowed to copy them. And, you know, maybe you don't have a printer, maybe you don't have a printer that you like or whatever. It's just a good way to kind of stretch out. Like, I spent $25 on that book, but I'm going to get a lot of mileage out of it. So anyway, and plus it was inspiring and it's beautiful. Look at these images. So anyway, okay, guys, I did it. Okay. I love you. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.